Thank you all for coming for today's panel discussion. The topic today will include copyright infringement, movies, and artworks. And we're going to see two comparisons from two different copyright cases involving movies. The first case involves the movie Devil's Advocate, and the second case involves the biggest box office hit of all time, Avatar. Please welcome our speakers, Mr. Dewey and Mr. Cheatham.
I'm going to talk about the first movie, Devil's Advocate. It stars Al Pacino as a high-powered lawyer in New York, and Keanu Reeves as a young lawyer working for him. In fact, Al Pacino is the devil. The movie was released in 1997 by Warner Brothers. One of the key props in the movie is a large sculpture hanging on the wall in the devil's apartment. In an important scene in the movie, the human forms in the sculpture appear to come to life and, according to the lawsuit filed against Warner Brothers, begin engaging in sexual acts. The sculpture in the movie was claimed to be a copyright infringement of a famous sculpture by artist Frederick Hart, which hangs over the door of the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. That sculpture, entitled Ex Nihilo, which means from nothing, depicts male and female nudes emerging from a swirling, mist-like wave background. In the lawsuit, Mr. Hart said his sculpture expresses creation as the metamorphosis of divine spirit and energy. Mr. Hart objected to the use of the sculpture in the movie, which he said was copied from his sculpture. Warner Brothers denied that the sculpture in the movie was copied from Ex Nihilo. Here are the two images. On the left, we see the sculpture Ex Nihilo by artist Frederick Hart, and on the right, we see the sculpture that hangs on the wall in the devil's apartment in the movie. To win a copyright infringement lawsuit, the copyright owner must prove that the infringing work is substantially similar to the copyrighted work. What do you think, Mr. Cheatham? Do these two sculptures look substantially similar?
Well, I'm no art expert, but they sure look similar to me.
The case never came to trial, so we don't know what a jury would have thought about that. But Warner Brothers was apparently nervous enough about it that they decided to settle the case. They agreed to cut important scenes of the sculpture from the movie before they released the movie on DVD. They also agreed that any TV version would have the same cuts. It was a big win for the artist.
Thank you, Mr. Dewey. Mr. Cheatham, how did your case go? How did the artist fare there?
Well, not as well. The artist was William Roger Dean, who was well known for his art on album covers for many well-known 1970s rock bands, including Yes. Dean sued James Cameron, who was the creator and director of Avatar, and claimed that many of the images of the planet Pandora in the movie were actually copies of his paintings. The images included floating islands and mountains. Here are two of the paintings and two of the images from the movies that were claimed to be copies of the paintings. Unfortunately for the artist, the judge ruled in this case that the similarities between the art were not unique to the artist and therefore not protectable by copyright. In fact, the judge said, plaintiff does not have a monopoly on the idea of floating or airborne land, an idea that has been around since 1726 when Jonathan Swift published his classic Gulliver's Travels. Suspending a landmass is a predictable, if not common, way to make a vista more sweeping, breathtaking, and fantastical, and is plainly subject to the principle that ideas are not protected.
Can you explain what that means, that ideas are not protected?
Certainly. Copyright protects only the expression of ideas, not simple ideas alone. No one can copyright the idea of a man wearing a costume and fighting crime. But that simple idea can be expressed in many different ways: Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Iron Man. So the expressions of this simple idea can be protected by copyright, but not the ideas themselves.
So the lesson here is better to get a license to use an artwork in a movie than to get sued later. Right, Mr. Cheatham?
That's right. But if you do get sued, hire me or Mr. Dewey here to defend you.